what's up, everybody? I'm Dennis. Welcome to Patina Code. This is so you want to build an AD.
I'm cold right out, I'm done. Come on.
Hello, once again, everybody. I'm Dennis. Thank you for tuning in for this edition of So You Want to Build an AD, powered by LS Fabrication. And today we are working on the doors. We got to disassemble them and then repair them. You have to bear with me. A little under the weather. I have a cold. It's none of that corona nonsense. I just have a cold, and see, I just got a cold. I got a stuffy nose, and you might be able to tell I sound like I'm stuffed up. But we soldier on. Like, you got to fight it. It's like I tell the babies. They're like, oh, fight it. You got to fight it, man. So today, what we got to do is get everything fixed up on these doors before we can, reassemble them with all the new parts, the new felts and all that stuff. Today is going to be a complete disassembly day. I'm already working on this passenger side door, and I just did the routine work on the door. And what I mean by that is there were some holes where there was the West Coast style type mirrors. We filled those holes. There was some pinholes from rust down here. We got those taken care of, but then we had a real big chunk of rusted out section here, and that's what we're working on right now. And there's a couple things that I want to show you about cutting on the bottom of the door. They do make the replacement part for this door. You can get the replacement bottom half panel of this door if yours is that gnarly to where you have no choice but to do that. And that's not a bad option, right? Because not only do they rust out on the bottoms on the outside, but on the inside they rust out too, because there's a strip down there and that holds the trim, that holds the weather stripping on the door. It pins it down. Even though it's glued down, you still got that down there holding it. And debris and everything gets up under there, water, because these things, you got to remember, man, like, so this is a 47 door. So this truck was made in 47. Even on out, you further out you go, even in the 80s, man, you would still get water would come up. They weren't watertight and sealed out like the new age vehicles now. The tolerances and everything now are so tight that the seals and everything actually do work. But they work to a certain extent. These things were put together to be sold. It wasn't like they just weren't slapped together, but they didn't have all the schematics and all that stuff and all the machinery to get everything so tight and all that cool stuff that we have nowadays. That's what I'm getting at. So that's, why the doors rot so bad. And it's evident that they already knew this was going to occur because there's holes in the bottom of these doors for drain holes. So that you close the door, you can have your gaps and everything. It's real nice and tight, but stuff still gets in there. Now, when you got a pro shop and they're making, one of these show vehicles, expensive deals, they seal everything up real tight, and get the tolerances to the doors and all that real close together. And that's awesome. But, for us, we're going back together like it was. We're going to go back together. It's going to look nice. But, we just want to get this thing straightened out. So, once again, they do make the bottom section of this truck that you can put in there. And right now, what I want to show you is that when you're cutting on the bottom of this door, you have to be careful when you get down low, because you don't want to end up de-skinning it. So, you can buy the door skin, but man, okay, so you could, buy a whole door skin, and the way you skin a door is you cut around the edge, pull it off, come on the inside, get that lip off of there, and then you can reskin it. So when you're cutting down here, you want to be careful that you don't cut into the bottom of the door. All right, so this is the section that we've cut out. This is the upper part. This would be the lower part of the door. You see where I've cut. I was very careful not to dive in so deep with the cutting wheel that I got to this. We don't want to damage this. Although there are a few rust holes in this that we're going to have to repair, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. The big deal would have been cutting completely through this on the other side where this skin wraps around. So you want to be careful when doing that. You just want to slide across there and try your best not to cut into this if you're going to be trying to repair this door in the fashion that I'm doing here today. And these were the holes, you know, those are the drain holes that they put in these trucks because they knew they were going to be leaking water and water would get in, and still the seals are there, but you know, water comes in and runs down through the top and everything else. So they knew about it. They knew what they were doing. That's why it's like that. So let's get back to what we're doing here. Now, some people would say, you know, lay the piece up here and then trace it out and then just cut the little bits you need out of the door. Why I don't like doing that is because if you mess up, well, now you're screwed. You got to get a whole nother piece of metal, do all the shaping and everything. I'd rather mess up the scrap piece than make the door more of a mess than what it already is. We fixed a lot on this door, and we're going to do the full tear down on the driver's door. But it's easier to make pieces out of scrap metal than it is to try to repair what's originally here. We already got a good idea of the contour, the curvature that we need here. We don't need to mess with the door anymore. We messed this up. So what? Go get another piece of scrap metal, cut it out, and do it again. But you go to cutting this, you can't replace any more of this original door. You know, so we're trying to keep as much of the original steel in the truck as possible. And to cut, you know, just to keep cutting it to make our piece fit, it might end up hindering you more so than helping you. And we're not far off from where we need to be. And as I said already, I'm not on a time limit. So I can sit here and piddle with this all day. I can piddle with it tomorrow, the next day, next month. It don't matter to me. When the truck gets done, the truck gets done. So there's no reason to want to rush the process and do everything, because one thing I know is haste makes waste. You know, you get hasty and then you just wasted something. You know, we're trying to do this in the most productive way possible. And as I said, I don't mind going back and forth. It may sound like I'm putting a whole lot of pressure. A lot of that is the hollowness of the door. But I'm just going across it. No pressure, not hard, because you don't want to put a low spot, a dip in it, because everything is pretty straight. So to keep from damaging the patch panel and making it wavy, we just run it over it. Kind of like filing it, you know? Which, that's another way you could go about doing this. That would take a little bit longer, but you could do it that way as well. This is what we're working with. And now we need to get up here in the front, get this trimmed back, and then trim the top side of it down so that it'll fit. We got the bottom fitting near perfect. So we just need to start gradually trimming up here on this piece. I might straighten this out a little bit because it's uneven right there, but you know what? I'll knock that part. I'll get that up, but then I'm gonna leave it alone. We're gonna work on the scrap piece. So here's where the tricky part comes in. You want to start sneaking up on it. That's what I like to call it. And what that means is just gradually taking some off from either side until you get it to fit. You don't want to get crazy here because you got it fitting pretty good at this point. So you want to just kind of eyeball it, but not eyeball it, if that makes any sense. You want to just start grinding it back ever so slightly on either end until you get that perfect fit. So we're going to just attach the tiger paw flap disc, sanding disc, and commence to sneaking up on this. So to give you guys an idea of just how little we are taking off the incremental value, you see that? It's like frog's hair, man. Just little incremental, just because we're trying to sneak up on it, man. And when I'm doing this sort of thing, I put myself in the position of me being the robot, right? This guy at work, that's what he calls. That's what he calls robots. He calls them robot. And so the story behind that, real quick. This guy I work with, you know, he's been at the job for 37 years. And our boss has actually been at the job for 47 years. And so they're like brothers almost, but not really like brothers. They're you know, they bicker back and forth. And one day we were out and it was hot, man, and we were working, and I had my work done. You know, I'm off doing patina code stuff. I'm building, right? I'm doing, you know, my thing. And he's out there working, but he stopped, took a break for a second. Our boss rolls up, and he don't mess around, right? He don't mess around at all. And he's like, yo, man, what are you doing? He's like, I need a break. He's like, man, but you got this and this and this to do. And the guy I work with, he's like, I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. And he just telling that story makes me laugh about it. But yeah, that's what he calls a robot. So now, yeah, you got to think like you're the robot, man, and you got to, you know, go at this. So let me quit clowning around and get this right. Man, it sucks having a cold. It just sucks. I couldn't imagine people having the virus. I guess, you know. Okay. Man, we sneaking up on it. I got just a little bit more. See what we got. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're doing it now. So now what we need to do is I just gotta lop off. The front section here. And again, it's just gonna be me grazing back and forth until I get it to fit. So at this point we are really close. We are within some thousandths. You know, it's looking really good. We just need to chamfer back the paint around the whole thing, but then we need to cut this back just a little bit. We need our gap like we have up here for our welding. Let me get on that. So we got it to where it's fitting perfectly. So instead of using the tiger paw to knock the paint back, I'm going to use the old trusty wire wheel. It won't deplete the metal, and it's going to get the paint off so that we can weld. now it's time to strike up the old welder. And you know the saying, put some fire to it. One final check for the fitment. Check 1, 2. And we're good to go. Here it is, guys. We got it tacked in. And then later on, we'll put a few more tacks, and then we'll just connect the dots, start joining them. We started that process right here. Just in between, but skip around as we do it. It looks really good up and through here, all the way around and down. I'm not too proud to say we messed up here. We got into some rust. I thought this was still good metal here, but apparently it was not. So we blew through. So that's what this is built up from, building, making basically new metal out of the weld. It happened again up there, but we grind that back. It's gonna look all right. It'll appear to be just like the rest of the door. I mean, but what can I say? I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. Seriously though, so we got this door done. As far as all the patching, up here was where they had their mirrors, and then we just did some, miscellaneous patching here, down through here, and back here on the corner. Got everything back to solid. That's going to do it for this one, guys. We battled hard and fought through this cold to get this door done. Now it's on to the next one. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what else I'm doing at the same time I'm working on this door. I appreciate you guys out there. Thanks for watching. Stay with me. What?